Muhammad perform miracles? Did he demonstrate his divine authority by bringing signs and wonders? According to the Quran, no. According to most Muslims today, yes. Why do so many Muslims believe the exact opposite of what Allah says in the Quran?
Okay, so we all know where this video is going, so faster than you could say mental hospitals, disabled dead kids, and, hammers. David Wood keeps bringing up the same old repeated, nonsensical arguments or refuted arguments against Islam. So this argument is that the Prophet Muhammad performed no miracles according to the Quran, but that's false because the Quran, well, first of all, the Quran is not a biography of the Prophet Muhammad. It's not like the Hadith. The Quran is not a chronological biography of the Prophet Muhammad. The Quran just responds to certain people in certain situations and circumstances. So what the Quran is saying, the Quran is not saying Prophet Muhammad never performed miracles. The reason why Allah is denying, specific miracles of specific disbelievers is because even if they get those miracles, they're still not going to believe. So there's no point in doing it. So David Wood's argument is kind of like, or what, the Quran's argument is kind of like Jesus' argument in Matthew chapter 16 or Matthew chapter 12, where Jesus says, you can look up the references in the Gospel of Matthew, somewhere in there. It says, Jesus says, an evil and adulterous sign demands a sign. An evil and adulterous generation demands a sign. No sign shall be given to it except the sign of Jonah. Now notice what Jesus is saying. Jesus is saying evil and adulterous people are demanding a sign or a miracle from him, and he's not going to give it to them except for the sign of Jonah. So using David Wood's logic, we can say, well, according to the New Testament, Jesus performed no miracles because Jesus is saying, an evil and adulterous generation demands a sign, but no sign shall be given to it. So if we just go by David Wood logic, we can say Jesus performed no miracles, despite the fact that the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John say Jesus performed miracles. Well, we have to go to the Hadith in the biography sources of the Prophet Muhammad to understand if he did miracles or to see if he did miracles or not. And Prophet Muhammad did miracles according to Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, even Ibn Ishaq, the earliest biographer of the Prophet Muhammad, even though that biography isn't 100% reliable, does record the Prophet Muhammad performed miracles. So, given this fact that, we have to, like, the Quran is not, see, what the critics don't understand, what David Wood doesn't understand is that the Quran is not a biography of the Prophet Muhammad. We have to go to the biographies. We have to go to Ibn Ishaq. We have to go to Bukhari, Ibn Hisham, the history of Al-Tabari, Muslim, Abu Dawood. We have to go to those sources to see the biography of the Prophet Muhammad, to see, where he lived, what he did, etc., etc. So if we read the biography sources, we can see that the Prophet Muhammad performed miracles to both believers, in front of believers and disbelievers, or in front of Muslims and non-Muslims, or at that time, and they still didn't believe in him. So even when the Prophet Muhammad did those miracles, sometimes they didn't believe in him. Like the Prophet Muhammad performed, had the ability to make certain objects come to him by telekinesis. Telekinesis means, moving things with your mind, or etc., by the power of Allah. If you read the history of Al-Tabari, volume 6, Prophet Muhammad did that miracle in front of a disbelieving Arab, and the Arabs and that Arab didn't believe in him. He said Prophet Muhammad was a magician, etc., or he was doing some kind of magic, etc. So that's the whole point, is that when Jesus and Muhammad did those miracles, people still didn't believe in him. Like, people still didn't believe in them. They started making excuses to find some kind of explanation for those miracles. Both the Gospels and the biography sources of the Prophet Muhammad record this. So what that means is that you see, like, how these disbelievers will disbelieve even if they're given proof. They'll still find some excuses or whatever. So that's why the Quran is denying specific miracles to specific people, because these people are not going to believe if they get like the specific miracle they're asking for. Like if you read the Quran, chapter 17, the Meccans were asking for a miracle for like water to gush out of the desert, or mountains being the mountains around Mecca being replaced by gold, by having like gold miraculously being sent to them, or turning mountains into gold. Like those Meccans were asking for miracles like that, like gold to magically come or miraculously come, or water to a water spring to gush out in the middle of the desert, etc. And the Quran is denying that, because the Prophet Muhammad is only a warner, is only a he can't generate those powers on his own. He needs Allah's permission to do that. And Allah knows that even if they get those specific miracles, they're still not going to believe. So that's the whole argument. Nowhere in the Quran does it say Prophet Muhammad can never do miracles. In the Quran, chapter 29, verses 49 to 51, I think they was going to bring that verse up in this video. It's just saying the Quran is enough miracle. The Quran is not saying the Quran is the only miracle or anything like that. The Quran is just saying is the Quran not enough a miracle? So, if you read those verses, if you read the historical context, you read Tafsir Ibn Kathir, Ibn Abbas, Tafsir al-Tabari, early Muslim commentators like Ibn Abbas, al-Tabari, Ibn Kathir, Ibn Abbas, al-Jadin, etc. The Quran or Allah was denying specific miracles to specific people, but nowhere in the Quran does say Prophet can never do miracles. Like like the critics just like they would just doesn't understand that, and other critics like him just don't understand what those passages, who those passages are, who those passages are addressing. They're addressing specific disbelieving Meccans and other people and other disbelievers, because they're still not going to believe even if they get that specific miracle. But we all know the miracles of the Prophet Muhammad according to Sahih Bukhari. Prophet Muhammad split the moon in half and put it back together when the Meccans were asking for a miracle. The Prophet Muhammad had water coming out of his hands. The Prophet Muhammad supernaturally multiplied food and dates and other things according to Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, etc. You can look up the references in the Hadith, etc. I don't have the reference with me, but if you can look up Hadith search, type in miracles of the Prophet Muhammad, and there are many miracles according to Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, who are the most authentic sources of Islam. So David Wood, again, just doesn't understand the historical context behind those verses, because if he wants to play this game with the Quran, we can play this game with the New Testament. And another thing is John the Baptist didn't do any kind of miracles either. So John the Baptist is considered a prophet according to Christianity. So we can say the same thing, that John the Baptist can't be a prophet because he performed no miracles according to the Gospel of John. So using David Wood's logic, we could say John the Baptist is a false prophet because, he performed no miracles. But, David Wood is not going to admit that, because David Wood has to believe in John the Baptist, because John the Baptist is in the New Testament. He's a prophet according to the New Testament. So, even if the prophet, let's just say for the sake of argument, Prophet Muhammad performed no miracles. You'll just say that. That's that doesn't disprove his prophethood, because John the Baptist didn't do miracles according to the Gospel of John. And we know that, according to Jesus, false, prophets and antichrist can perform miracles and deceive many. David Wood has to be consistent here. If he believes in his New Testament, then he has to reject John the Baptist, because John the Baptist performed no miracles according to the Gospel of John. If we were to believe what the Gospels tell us about the Gospel, about John the Baptist. So again, this goes back to David Wood's inconsistency. He just doesn't know what he's talking about, or he doesn't understand the historical context behind certain Quranic verses. And he's being inconsistent because the New Testament records no miracle. John the Baptist brought no miracle either. So if he wants to play this game with the Prophet Muhammad, he has to, reject John the Baptist. Because John the Baptist didn't perform no miracles, according to the Gospel of John. But regardless, this is a false claim. The Prophet Muhammad performed miracles according to Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, and that's the most authentic sources of Islam. The Quran is denying specific miracles to specific people. So I don't have to go through this video, because I know what David Wood's going to say. I know all the verses he's going to bring up, and those verses have been refuted by other Muslim scholars or other Muslim apologists over the years. I'm going to link the link below. So this refutes David Wood's argument. Stay tuned, more videos coming up ahead.